Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Loftin, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Loftin, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
Welcome back to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. Well, guys, let me just say this. We are back, and we're back with a different kind of episode and season. I think it's important to highlight that I am not in the studio by myself, and sometimes I'm bringing in guests, but today I don't have a guest, but I have my associate producer here. And so we are going to have an episode together because we're talking about mentorship, the types of mentorships, the type of mentors, and how valuable it is in this space of career development, professional development, life development, and overall probably, and I looked this up, identity. And so I think that it's important as we continue to evolve. And the reason why we did it, and Katori and I will talk a little bit, why did we decide to bring this episode to the forefront, which was different from us because we're bringing in mentors and mentees. Like, we are intentional with identifying the mentor and then letting the mentor share their mentee and allow for them to share their story. So that is very different. And we want to showcase that in ways as it relates to building collaboration, building on equity. And so I'm excited to have our associate producer, who is very instrumental, guys, in booking our guests and also brainstorming and figure out what episode works. And so she is in the studio and she has a mic and she is here as a guest, which I think is, I get to interview her a little bit. I think she's interviewed me. And so now I get to interview her. So I have to say I'm pretty excited about it because she comes with a wealth of information. I just love her perspective and the way that she sees things and knowing her voice and being in a place where she can let her voice speak, because I think that's important. So Katori, I do want to talk about how we kind of came up with that, but introduce yourself to the listeners.
Hi, I'm Katori. Like Larvetta mentioned, I am the associate producer. And the inspiration behind this season truly came from Larvetta's Mentoring Queens feature. So when I heard that she was being featured on there, I thought that maybe that could be a way for us to tell a story about mentor-mentee relationships and the importance and their impact that they can have on someone as they are growing and developing. I think that you, Larvetta, are really great at mentoring the people around you, at truly being an inspiration. So I thought that you leading this season all about mentorship and bringing in other people like you would be great. And also kind of hearing both sides of the story, how you guys met, how they impacted your life, and how your mentee maybe impacted yours. And
I love that.
Honestly,
you reminded me of mentor. I forgot. See, the Mentoring Queens. And there's and I'm glad you brought it up because that's how we got a guest, right? Is because they watched the Mentoring Queens.
They said, yep, I would love to be a part of this conversation. It's truly amazing what that feature has done.
Yeah, it has.
Really shined a light on you and your impact.
It has. I'm still amazed that people see that, you know, because when you do something and you just do it because that's just who you are, I think we forget the impact that it can have, right? Sometimes negatively, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully positively, and we get to do it. And so I'm grateful for that platform. And clearly, right, they've been doing it for quite some time. So this is not a new thing. We just kind of jumped on the back again with this season, right? Because I think it's like their third or fourth season.
Yeah, third or fourth.
Third or fourth
Yeah, they just released another.
Yeah, because they have Mentoring Kings.
And then it was like another like segment of Mentoring Queens, highlighting different set of people. So you guys were the media mavens, and now they're highlighting another group of women.
See, and that's powerful. And some of them are business owners, and I think we used to believe like mentorship only happened from almost like this traditional way. Yeah. And, you know, me doing all this research in like this traditional way of like, okay, hi, hey, what do you do? Okay, what do you do? And then they become your mentor, right? That's the traditional way. And I think that series helps us to see the other ways. That, because here's the crazy part, Katori, there's 2 people that called me from that show. Like they went online, they went through our platform. They were like, can I sit down with you? You know, I do my 20-minute link. She did a virtual coffee chat. She saw the episode and she was like, I just literally was like, I want her to be my mentor. And we had a conversation. It was probably like 20 minutes because it's all I got is about 20 minutes. And she was a woman kind of mid-career who was evolving into something else and just helping her navigate. Like she was like, that was like the best advice that ultimately, you know, she saw the episode, but was like, okay, I want to turn this into a business. What can I do? And in that 20 minutes, she said it's almost as if she said, I didn't know I could do that. Like, I didn't know that you would answer on the other end. And I think that's sometimes why mentorship, we overthink it because we don't think on the other side that the person's going to respond.
And oftentimes we think of those type of relationships as potentially transactional. Like, what can I even offer them for them to want to contribute to my growth at all? And that really makes it hard to kind of reach out to somebody else when you don't feel like you have that same value, have anything to bring. Because a lot of things are really transactional, unfortunately.
That's true. A lot of things are. It's like, what can you do for me?
Yeah. And then it's just like, but that's not the nature of mentorship, not truly. And if they did want something from you, not saying that it makes them a bad person, but it also kind of takes away from that mentee relationship because you're really just trying to go to that person, learn from them, grow from them. And generosity is a big part of being a mentor that I feel like some people may not have, which kind of makes them not like the best.
Tell me more about generosity. I love that you use that word. I've never heard it in mentorship. So tell me.
Generosity, mentors are extremely generous in sharing their knowledge, their time, all things that are truly valuable, things that they've gained from their experiences, and just knowing that they're willing to share that with someone else just to kind of impart that wisdom on you. Wow, that like maybe something that you'll already do in your life, but just making sure you're being intentional about who you're sharing it with and making sure that that person learns from you. That really feels truly generous. It just makes you seem like you're like a very giving, like you have that very giving spirit. And I'm speaking about you. And yeah, that's why I'm like, definitely, that's truly very generous, like charitable.
Yeah. And you know, I've never heard, I've never heard like generosity. Like we hear reciprocity, but never like this generosity and being generous. Do you think that people naturally freely want to share?
I think that certain people want to share, and that's what makes a mentor, the wanting to share. Because some people want to gatekeep their knowledge because they did it the hard way. So why should you have the easy way out? Why should I give you that book? Why should I give you my knowledge? But
Have you ever experienced that?
No, I actually haven't. I've seen it through the eyes of my friends. I've seen it through the eyes of my tribe, honestly, because sometimes if particularly at work, it's very competitive in their jobs and things like that. So they don't really have a community and within their job where that pushes them up, and people may even lead them astray rather than even share their knowledge. Even if they've been in the business for 10, 20 years, they don't really want to share it. They think that they're being replaced. So that just stems from insecurity. So you have to be secure to be a mentor. You have to be generous to be a mentor. There's a lot of things that come with it, or in my eyes, those are qualities that you should have if you're going to mentor somebody else.
Yeah. I like that you brought generosity. And what was the second one? Security. We've never heard that too. Security. Because in that environment, and I don't operate in competition. Everyone has a space and a value. Yeah, that's right. We don't do that. That's we don't.
Trademark Larvetta.
That's it. There you go. We don't. No, it's and, no or. And I realized that we have to, because every person has a story, right? Every person has a path. Every person also has a dream, right? So your dream could be, I don't know, to be whatever you want to be, right? So if I can help you get there,
then why not? And when that's a no-brainer for you, that's how you know you've chosen the right path. It's confusing when people don't want to share.
It is.
Because it's like, what are you going to do with that? Now that it's in your head, what are you going to do?
Exactly. Like, that's such a...
it's selfish and individualism that runs rapid in America in general.
Yeah.
So people feel like they have to walk this life alone, but you do not seek out help, please.
Do you
Somebody
think
went through it?
Somebody went through it? But is it because, so let's talk from a generational, right? I'm Gen X and
I'm Gen Z.
You're Gen Z. And I love Gen Z. And I love my millennials. So I want to be clear. I love all my generations. Let me put it out there. I do. But the one thing that I love about the Gen Z in its entirety, and of course everyone, isn't like this, is that you guys, that generation is intentional with how you show up face to face, peer to peer, and what you show up online. There's no like, I heard, and not that, and again, I know through this episode, we're going to hear some amazing mentors and understanding, like giving them grace. But I think the level of idea that I don't have to work for this big company with a name just to say I do, if they don't care about pets, or if they don't care about...
It's very imperative that whatever I'm doing aligns with my values.
Yeah.
I am not going to go anywhere that I don't truly support with my core. Like I want to be able to shop ethically, like the best that I can. To the best of my knowledge, I try my best to shop ethically to make sure that they are not putting my dollars somewhere that I wouldn't want them. I don't want you funding anything that's going to hurt anybody else. What would that... Yeah. Why would I do that? I care.
Yeah.
So it's important that I'm making sure I'm doing that research, making sure that the things and the people and the practices I surround myself with truly align with me.
That's right. And I think which is why I love your generation. Like,
that passion is there.
Yes.
Whatever you're passionate about, you will see it. It's up front.
Yeah.
We're more or less pretty clear on who we are. You'll know it.
Yes. And unapologetic about it.
Yes.
Like, I didn't become unapologetic until maybe about 4 years or 5 years ago, where I don't really care. Yeah. But in a lot of ways, you really don't care. Like, this is who I am. And I'll give you, guys, I'll give you an example of why I think individuality is so important. And I think it's important from a mentorship standpoint. I think it was like a week before you were on board. And Katori asked, is it okay if I have purple hair? Remember you had your purple hair?
Yeah, I'm like, can I have pink hair?
And
I'm getting it. But...
And so she was still getting it, but she was just checking to make sure culturally. And I was like, absolutely. I'm totally fine with that. But imagine, so let me say this. If I had said no, how would that have made you feel?
I would have been confused because that didn't really align with how I saw you, honestly. I assumed that I had the freedom of expression here. And if you would have said, I'm like, well, who is she then?
Yeah.
I would have been truly confused. But I don't know if it would have completely steered me away from the job. However, I definitely would have been like, oh, well, maybe I should kind of tone it down.
Yeah.
But
I think it would have created
a barrier. Yeah.
And I think, I think it creates what I call career trauma. It creates career trauma to believe that you can't do that.
And I'm like, because how does that affect my job?
Correct. And then overall career.
Yeah.
Because if you kind of walk with that, lightly, you'll start to believe that I can't in other places because this one I couldn't.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And I think we have to, as mentors, be careful about that. Be careful that when we are mentoring, that we don't push and discourage individuality. Because I think when that happens, it could impact the trajectory of your career.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So Katori, I was doing my research because, that's what I do. And I came across these 7 types of mentors. Okay. So you have, one is traditional. And that's where kind of in this place where if it's the idea most closely associated with mentoring. So it's very traditional, one-on-one, kind of that thing. So reverse mentoring is when there is a relationship where there's a younger, less senior person in your organization, right? Where me take you on and that becomes this, but you mentor me. And so that is also popular, right? And it says, like, for example, younger mentors like Gen Z, they says Gen Zs can impart their digital literacy, technologically savviness, fresh ideas. So that reverse mentorship says you come here
absolutely,
and we get to learn from you.
Yeah.
Right.
And that definitely gives the mentor, this now reverse mentor, power and labeling them as a mentor, because you might not see yourself as that, especially if you're younger, because it'll just kind of feel like, I guess I'm kind of helping them out. I guess I'm kind of doing that. But now you have the title mentor, like it feels very powerful, very official.
And mentor, and I think because when I saw this is that I like the reverse because the traditional is kind of traditional. You're the senior and I'm, and the junior, right? But I think the biggest thing that we have to get past is age, right? Not let age be the barrier,
right,
but let age actually be, to me, your superpower. Because younger brings fresh. Older says, let's walk this through. Let's walk it all the way through, right? Let's build a path where by the time you get to your workflow, it might not have been a good idea.
Right.
But sometimes you would have gone through that, spent the money, right? Spent the time, and it end up not being the outcome that you want. So we know that to be true. The thing is peer mentor. So peer is a coworker who holds a similar level of responsibility as you do in your organization. And so I love that one. Aspirational mentor. So these are people that you look for inspiration, their books, their podcasts, from there. And then there is practical mentor. That's someone you seek out if you need like a real world issue and how do I approach that problem or situation. And then the other one is there's still 2 more. Coping is someone who helps you relieve stress. And I would consider like mental health professional, maybe even a fitness expert, right? To help you find ways to cope with difficult issues. And so I think there's it. So I thought that this is all cool. And then identity is someone who looks at you someone you look to because you are from a certain group, whether that's from like you're a woman, you're from the LGBTQ, you're a veteran, maybe you're a mom.
Right.
Those kinds of subgroups is where identity, so that you can both provide support and advice to each other.
Absolutely.
And so kind of like when I go through all of these, which one sticks out to you? Or it could be more than one.
Sticks out as far as what?
As far as like a mentor. How do you see yourself? And then how do you see your mentor?
Okay. So honestly, based on the definitions provided, I feel like my mentors fall into multiple categories. It's interesting hearing that, actually. I do think that I provide some level of mentorship to the people around me, to my senior professionals, things like that. So
absolutely.
Reverse mentorship, I could be considered a reverse mentor. And I think I pull mentorship from all of the people around me, now that I'm thinking about it. Like, I surround myself with people who I either aspire to be like, whose paths inspire me. Like Naima would be considered my peer mentor, because whenever I look to her, I'm like, she's an amazing professional. I would love to see how she works, things like that. And I think I have almost every type except for maybe like the coping mentor, unfortunately. That's the one I need.
And I feel like that's like powerful at an early career. And I say that because I think you're ahead of the game in a lot of ways, because coping mentor, and this, I'm making this blanket statement, I'm not saying it's true. Because like when you go from like maybe, from marriage to being a child, you kind of need it because you've taken on another role, right? So you kind of need someone to kind of help you cope with that.
Absolutely. Those transitional moments, those ever so hard transitions.
Yes. Right. And so loss. So I think those are things that come up when you need it.
And those more complex things where you're just like, but somebody has definitely done this. Yeah. Somebody has experienced this, and it's super important, especially for coping mentors.
Yeah. Especially, and I think that might be a better, for those that don't like therapy.
Yes. You have a coping mentor. Rebrand. We got to rebrand.
Hey, you heard that on the Black Businesses Matter. You could actually have a coping mentor for those that don't like, and because, in our culture, right? Counseling, therapy sounds.
Yeah, while it's being destigmatized, we have a long way to go. But calling it a coping mentor for those people who aren't super comfortable with saying I have a therapist.
Right.
My coping mentor, I meet with them every week. Like, come on now.
I think that's pretty. And here's the thing. Our animals could be our coping mentor too. They could be our coping mentor. So I think I think this season is really helping us to unpack mentorship in a way that we probably haven't seen. Now I want to just say to you, like, when you think about this and you think about our, like, this upcoming season and us really talking about mentorship, when you think of, you've given us generosity, you've given us security, what other thing is there? 3 is my favorite number.
Initially, I know you were going to ask what is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of mentorship. I was going to say guidance, but as we began to talk through, so that could be my third thing. And I think it will be my third thing because guidance is one of the most important parts of mentorship. While those other things are traits of a mentor, guidance is what constitutes it as a mentorship, because what else are you doing besides guiding me through?
You're listening to Black Businesses Matter, and we will continue our conversation in a second. But first, take a listen to this special message for our BBM fam.
We know how important it is to stay connected, so why not join our BBM Fam Club for special announcements and exclusive offers by texting bbmfam to 312-300-1300. That's bbmfam to 312-300-1300 today. Now let's get back to Black Businesses Matter.
I like guidance. I like guidance because here's what you guys know. I go to Katori for like beauty, fashion. I want to do this. What do you think about this? Yeah, you could do that. Well, I want to change my hair. Okay, can you do this? So you give me guidance on that. Because, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. You can do it. You can do it. And so, and so you'll be like, oh, okay. And so I get the courage to do it. And tell me I can do it. And then the other thing that I think we do together is like, I can look at Katori and when she don't understand it, I know she don't understand it. And I'll be like, okay, so what you thinking? Like, what's it? No, it's okay. But I also think that on both sides, it forces me, while I'm, the boss, I don't really like that term. It forces me to find a way to make you feel like it's okay to say you don't understand that. And I think it forced me to have to look at that differently. Because sometimes when people, I don't get, okay, well, all right, what you thinking? Like, what's in your what's in your mind?
And it's always like, I kind of understand. I'll figure the rest out. That's usually what happens. Like, I could look it up. I'll ask later. But right now, I don't know what questions I have. But there are some. Somewhere.
You are. I don't have any right now. Yeah. And now, guys, she asked me a bunch of questions. I love it. She's like, wait, I need to hop on a call. I need to ask questions. So I think because of me being I'm such a curious George, like literally Georgina. I want to ask all the questions and be like, okay, that's it. But I realize that that's because I also think it helps me to not overthink. I think. Okay. Because it helps me to be like, okay, did they say that or did they not say that? What did they really say?
Might as well ask.
Right. So do we need to do this? Can we have it by Friday? What about if we had it on Monday? If we have it on Monday, what would that do? Right. And so some people would take that and be like, oh, she gets on my nerves. Yeah. Right?
But at least your ask was clear and you're getting what you want.
Correct. But it also keeps my mind from overthinking. Yeah. Right? And not creating something that's sometimes not there. So I think that's something that we all go through as mentors. Like, I think in our career life, it's even me as a business owner, right? I don't know, should we ask that many questions? Like we get in our head, oh, well, maybe, by asking those questions, is that going to cause us to do this? And so I think the thing that I think as mentorships, to be able to work them, I think that people need to understand that mentorship is a pour and a pour back, because that 20 minutes is time. Yes. Whatever it's 20 minutes, 25, 30, 45, 60 minutes is their time. So giving up their time to me is now, it should be, now what are you going to do for me? Right. Not that's the reason, but I think ultimately that should be, right? And I think it's okay to feel like that because somebody gave you their time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just made me think like that generosity again. Mentors are generous. They're giving so much of themselves, but a good mentee should be gracious. A good mentee should be, and I forget the word that I said in my head a second ago.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, I think it was not understanding, but empathetic. Empathetic about what is going on in my mentor life. You should be curious about what's going on in their life. So you're not taking, you're not pulling, you're not under, like you're taking everything from them, everything that they got. While that is the mentor's job to kind of know when to step back, everybody doesn't always have that. And it's your job to kind of be aware as a mentee that you can't just take it all. That's not what you're doing. You're looking for guidance. You're looking for bits and pieces.
That's right. And I think again, I think we have to look at this so different. So now that, right, we're on the podcast and we think about all these Black business owners, is there any one person in this podcast that you've worked on that you were like, oh, I want them to be my mentor? I know you've listened to a lot.
I have listened to a lot, and now I'm thinking back, like, who truly inspired me?
That was your aspiration, like, oh, I would love to have.
I think two, and just because I saw her today, but
I know who you're gonna say. What?
You might. For my coping mentor, Samantha Joe.
Yes,
Samantha Joe's Barnyard.
Samantha Joe.
I have never met anybody who just immediately made me feel calm. I was so confused. I'm like, oh. Well, maybe I am running around too much. Maybe I'm stressing for no reason. It's like she walks with a purpose, but not like she's rushing. Her voice is the most calming
voice.
I've ever heard.
Yes.
It was honestly an experience to be around her, and that's something to say, you know. And then I guess for
agreed.
I'm trying to think like maybe like a aspirational mentor. I'll have to give that some thought.
Okay.
Actually.
I think it's one where I agree with you that so it's gonna freak you out. I can't think of his name. But aspirational in my mind, not that like very focused, was our guy in the technology. Greg.
Yes.
Not in a sense of just very focused, like very focused. Like he was there.
He knew what he had. He knew what he wanted to share. And honestly, that is perfect for when you're just trying to skim an episode and know what you want to know everything about him. That is perfect.
Greg,
he could run that as a commercial.
He sure can. I mean, so he was my one that helped me to see the power of focus. And he repeated a lot of the same things. Like he wasn't, and I think that there's power in that. Like sometimes we feel like we got to say something. Like we got to keep, we got to say something different. You say what you said and it's okay. So I think that was it. I think from, my girl, from a peer mentor is Chartrice.
She was
Chartrice Turner.
Amazing.
Yeah, she was amazing. Like just her ability to be very clear in her purpose and that I was like, wow, like in what she offers. So I think, hey guys, listen to the episodes and figure out who's your mentor.
Yes, and reach out.
Yes. So we just did a whole thing. Like there's people on here that maybe you want to be your mentor.
Absolutely.
So thinking about that. So when we think about why Black businesses matter, well, before we kind of get to that, do you think that Black businesses serve as mentors in communities?
I definitely think they do. I think the power and representation is immeasurable, and seeing a Black business in your community, oftentimes I think, especially from the ones that's been featured on this show, the Black businesses have another component of giving back to that community, teaching others around them. So they definitely serve as a mentor, or they often try to offer mentorship because they understand that power themselves. That's something that they had given to them. So a lot of the business owners, especially the ones that we feature, understand the power of giving back, and mentorship is a part of that.
I would agree that's who we are.
Yeah.
Like that's who, and I don't think that we signed up to say we are. I think that comes innately.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's just a part of who we are. We want to see more of us. We want to uplift each other.
Yeah.
It's really in our nature to do that, really ingrained in us.
I think so too. And I think that this episode, you're just going to hear the richness and the passion behind these businesses and their ability to be mentors. I think we're going to really, and our mentees and their ability to also impart guidance and wisdom, because you can still have wisdom even when you're younger. That's the other part of people. Wisdom has nothing to do with age. Again, age can be your superpower. It doesn't have to be your barrier. And I think we do that. And I think we measure our success. Well, I should be doing this by 25, right?
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
Speaking of which, does your generation still do that?
Yes. And
I know.
I'll be honest. A lot of me and my friends are going through like different levels of existential crisis. Like, oh my gosh, I should be here, here, and here. I graduated this year ago, and here's where I am. And it's just like a lot of back and forth, talking each other off the ledge. And it's interesting that that's still translated, even with all of our evolutions as a generation. We're still just like, I think it's because our access to social media and things like that, because we get to see everybody where we could be, what we could have done. We think it's all so accessible, but everybody can't do it. They're special because they did it. And you're special because you're doing what you're doing.
That's funny. So I think that's probably is what's carried out in all generations.
Yes.
I think that's where we're all connected.
That comparison.
We are comparing. And I am working on comparing me to me. So my yesterday me to my today me.
And that's awesome. That's
because if I keep comparing to what I see online or based on this, I don't know the struggle. I also don't necessarily know the access or the lack of.
Absolutely.
So there lies where we can do, right? We can identify with being a woman. We can identify in that the things that we can see. I get that. But I definitely have learned, like, yesterday, Larvetta would have done this. Today, she's not impacted by that. And so not compare. And I think that's one of the things I'm trying to work on is not saying, well, I would do this.
Yeah.
Because if it was you, then you would have done that. But it's not you. So why don't you just do that? But I think that is something that's generational.
It is,
and we
definitely
keep using that. And so maybe that's
one day
something.
we'll learn.
I know. Maybe what's the next generation?
Alpha.
The alpha.
That's my
maybe. I know. Maybe. Right. That's the next. That is the next one. And I think the alphas might do that. They might be like, I ain't comparing.
They're going to be an interesting bunch. I'm really, they're funny. They're very interesting though.
I think that they are. So one of the things that I think that Gen Z is more like, and you gonna crack up, they're a lot like baby boomers.
Yes, they are. And that comparison happens so much. That type of discourse happens so much. But I think it's like a product of us being raised by that mixture of baby boomer and Gen X. If we were
sandwiched in.
Especially those older Gen Z like me and some of my peers. It's just like that's our influence. My parents are both Gen X and baby boomers, so I have all the influences.
I definitely think it's a baby boomers with digital.
Yes. And the baby boomers, they were a powerful bunch. Now, Gen X too. That type of, y'all have the individualism. Y'all have the drive too. And not the same individualism I'm talking about earlier, where you're alone navigating through life, but you are a unique person. You like to highlight that.
I think so. And I think where you talk about Gen X, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that Gen X, there was paying homage to Gen X because, we are the most, I think this generation is the most highly educated generation, and we walk with that. But that's because the baby boomers pushed us. Like, you got to go to college. You got to go, And so I think today, if that's not your thing, that's not your thing, and you can still be successful.
We're definitely backing off of that sort of like go to college. But I feel like my maybe graduating class 2017 was that one of those last classes where they said go to college, because they were really pushing that whole 100% college acceptance rate, and it's just like, but what about next year? Did they stay in college? What did they do after? What happened?
That's a fact. We don't ever see that, and I think once again, our first mentorships, a lot of times when we go to college, are our teachers, right? Our professors. That's where we see them. They see us, right? And so, but then I consider those to be my temporary mentors, right?
Absolutely.
They're close from a peer. And when I say peer, meaning we see each other from there. We kind of work next to each other, but they are short-lived, right? They're during the time.
You usually don't take them outside.
You don't take them outside. You don't go to coffee chats with them. But I think, and maybe they are, maybe that's something that should be discussed. Yeah, maybe that should be
temporary mentorships. I mean, all mentorships are temporary. Most of the time, they don't remain lifelong.
You're right, but I think that they should reverse to your point. Like our dear Mia. So like Mia, I was for years, right? She'll say I'm a mentor, but she mentors me. So I say to her, she's my mentor because it's just things that she does so much better than me. And she's just an incredible mother, just an incredible mother. And so that is aspirational at one point. And so I think you can have a lifetime mentorship in that space if, what did I say? One is pouring and then the other one pours back. Yes. I think that's what happens. But to your point, if it's like we talked about when you first open up, it could be just transactional. Right. And that's okay. So when we think about why do Black businesses matter, we speak on that. Why do we think that Black mentorship matters in the Black businesses ecosystem?
Black mentorship matters specifically because being an entrepreneur and being Black comes with very unique experiences that you need to hear from that same perspective. While all mentorship can be valuable, that Black mentorship can come with the prior knowledge that some mentorship lacks. Like that type of relationship is very impactful because a lot of the times that it's a lot of unspoken things that they have already experienced that you don't have to explain. It's a lot of unspoken things that they've experienced that they'll help you navigate as a Black entrepreneur, as a Black business mogul, as a Black person.
I think so too. And I think we have to look to that. Okay. And we say this, we had a private event, guys, today, breakfast for some of our guests. It was a breakfast at the Obama Presidential Center. And what I think in that room was that there were people in there that probably could have been each other's mentors.
Definitely.
Right?
And it was beautiful to watch them all pour into that. We had one woman come in all the way from Brooklyn, and she spoke about wanting to be an entrepreneur. While there was honesty about entrepreneurship being hard, they still were like, oh, I have somebody in New York I can connect you with. Oh, me crazy. Too. And everybody rose. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to be set.
I know. She left full.
Yes. Absolutely. And they could even, while she was looking for somebody in New York, she has people here. Clearly.
Yeah.
A whole community. I'm so glad she came. That was beautiful to see.
So it was like, that was a surprise for us. She didn't know. Her friend was invited her, couldn't make it. She had COVID. So she ended up coming by herself. So shout out for her to come out by herself.
And I'm glad she invited her because she knew that she needed to be in that room.
She definitely needed to be in that room. And so, hey guys, get in those rooms. Find your next mentor, whether that's a temporary mentor, practical mentor, cope mentor, peer-to-peer mentor, reverse mentor. Did I say all of them? Aspirational mentor. And traditional, whatever that is, find it. So, or just keep tuning in to us and we make sure you get one and look at some of these episodes. And maybe that's your next thing, is listening to episodes to find out your next mentor. And I think mentor also does not stop just because you get older. That's the other part that we have to. Age is not a barrier.
It's not.
It's a superpower. That's my thing on that. Okay, so Katori, what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? I would say lately I've really been enjoying building my community. So I've been making a lot of new friends, being way more social as of late. And that's a new thing for me because I'm kind of social, but I'm not like, that's something that I've been developing.
That's awesome.
It's been so fun building a new community, meeting so many new people and just listening and learning their stories. So that's been bringing me a whole lot of joy lately.
That's awesome. Well, you serve as the associate producer. You do a lot of meeting new people.
Yeah.
So I think that also inspires it. And Katori runs our interns at this point. And so she builds a community with them and they lean on her for that. And I think that's also incredible. And so I'm happy to hear that brings you joy. So guys, you're just in for a treat this season. It's very different. We've got some new, I guess, tricks. I don't want to call them tricks, but we've got some new things that we do. Upgrades. So, we launched and we're launching this. I forgot to mention is it's called the bragging moment. And so that is where Black Businesses Matter is BBM. And there's a brag moment, and they get to brag about what they're doing. And so, Katori, I'm going to try it out on you.
Okay.
You can brag. Like, you can brag. I mean, it's your moment. You're on the episode. So we need to start doing that and get comfortable. So brag. What are you going to brag about?
I think I'll brag about our interns. Honestly, I feel like I've been doing a good job training them.
Yes, you have.
They are amazing.
Yes.
I love them so much, and it's just wonderful watching them.
Yeah, it is. It is. And very different, right?
Yeah, it's definitely being on the other side.
It is.
Yeah.
From what started, like Katori started off as an intern and, now she's leading. But that's what I always wanted to see, because that's what I believe. Like, you start and you bring somebody else. We're not going to keep doing this. I think that's important. So that's your brag moment?
Yeah.
All right, brag moment. So, brag moment. I think brag moment right now, I don't know if I told y'all, we met our goal for the year.
We did?
We met our goal for the year.
As far as what?
Like, as far as our revenue for this year.
Oh, wow.
We met our goal. I know, right? So that's a brag.
Clap.
I know. So for June, so now everything we do will just exceed our goals.
It'll be out of passion. It'll be out of just... That's amazing.
I know.
Oh, wow.
So, Katori didn't know that part. But yeah, on our books for 2024, we were to meet a goal. We 7 businesses. I think we're at 5, but we had more corporate businesses. And so we are, and we're at June, right? Yes. We're about to hit July.
Halfway through the year.
And so I'm excited for it. But I think the brag moment for us was, what did I have us do? We got real laser focused.
We did. And we built a wonderful team.
I know, we do. So that's a brother brag moment. My
expanded.
team is dope. They are outstanding. I love them. I love their contributions. I love their insight. I love their diversity. I love their thoughts. I love everything that they bring to the table, even when I don't agree with it. I appreciate it. So, all right, guys. Katori, well, thank you.
Yes,
I know you're
welcome.
behind the scenes and you're in here. I know it's hard, but she's such a natural. She's so calming with it. And she was talking about, I'm like, you're just like that too.
Oh.
I love it though, because she's my calm in a lot of ways. And she'll be like, okay, we can just relax. It's okay. For that. And so I'm grateful to you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so grateful to you. She is my mentor too, for that. And I'm grateful for that. So guys, you're in for a treat. Thank you for rocking with us. We're on our road to 100th episode. We're getting close to it. So stay tuned. Don't forget to text us. Tell us all about what we're building as a family, guys. It's called the BBM family, which is Black Businesses Matter fam. But we say BBM fam. And you can text us at 312-300-1300. Our reason for doing this is to build community. Us having this event today was because our family and our guests got a chance to be in the room at the same time. So if that's what you want to do and share information, collaborate, join our fam. Come on now. All right, guys, keep rocking with us. We thank you. Thank you for listening for another episode of Black Businesses Matter.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.